welcome to the LGBTQ New Americans Oral History Project. My name is Wilfredo Hernandez. I'm the Arts and Culture Group Leader at the Brooklyn Community Pride Center.
And I'm Yodashkin, Public Affairs Director for Immigration Equality.
And today is Saturday, June 3rd, 2017. And we are here with...
My name is Audu Kadri, originally from Nigeria. And I'm here at the Brooklyn Community Pride Center.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, can you tell us, you just told us that you're from Nigeria. What was it like growing up in Nigeria?
Well, growing up in Nigeria was fun, you know. It was fun, but, you know, I grew up in a, we call it, you know, a slum, you know, very rural community where it is, you know, it is very hard to enjoy the good things of life. But if you are, you know, industrious and hardworking, that's what they tell us, as you'll make it, you know. I grew up in that kind of environment. Yeah.
And so, what kinds of things did you do growing up for fun?
Well, I enjoyed, you know, hanging out with friends a lot, learning from each other, you know, and that led me to, that led us to forming a, you know, a club at that time while I was growing up, you know, and basically the club was to, you know, it was a social club made up of about 5 guys, you know. We celebrate each other's birthdays, you know, attend parties together, you know. It was just a social club. While I was growing up, I was still in my, I was still in high school at that time.
So, how long ago did you come to the U.S.?
Well, finally I came to the U.S. in 2014, February. But before then, I've been coming to the U.S. I actually came here twice before finally coming here to stay in 2014. I was here in 2010 for the Microbicide conference. It's an HIV conference in Pittsburgh. Then in 2012, I was here for the International AIDS Conference in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
And so what led you to come back to stay the final time?
Well, I actually came here to seek asylum, and I came finally in 2014 because that was after my country, you know, the government of my country passed a law criminalizing same-sex relationship, and by extension, organizations and individuals advocating for the LGBT community. And because of my work with the community as an advocate, you know, my life was in danger. I faced some threats, some verbal threats, you know, and that made me uncomfortable. So I had to, you know, seek help from. Because of my international advocacy, you know, experience, I was able to, you know, get help from international organizations.
Maybe if we can backtrack just a little bit and explain a little bit more about the how long you were doing this work, maybe how you got into that work in Nigeria.
Well, yeah, back in Nigeria, I was a public health advocate, a community advocate, and my work centered around HIV prevention and treatment. You know, I've been involved in HIV awareness and, you know, prevention since 2000 and I would say 2. That was when I was newly trained. I went through a training where we were trained on how to mobilize community to understand HIV, you know, prevention and awareness at that time. But I got involved in LGBT-specific HIV prevention in 2006 when I attended the Microbicide conference in South Africa in 2006. So there, I met this group, ARMA. At that time, they were called IRMW, that is International Rectal Microbicide Working Group at that time. So what, you know, drew me to their session was, you know, education around anal health, and to me that was new, you know. even though, you know, we don't know about, you know, HIV prevention with gay men, it was new to me to know that this is the community that really drives the, you know, the epidemic. So that was how I got involved. So going back to Nigeria, I was able to, you know, include this information in our HIV messages, you know, because this is a community that drives the epidemic. Then whatever we do, if we don't carry this community along, then we are not doing anything, you know. So that's how I got involved in HIV with the LGBT community. But generally, I've been involved in HIV, you know, awareness since 2002.
That's great. And so, when you were coming here to seek asylum, what did you feel like? Like, what was it like getting on the plane?
Wow. You know, thinking back now, remembering the way I left, you know, it still sometimes, you know, makes me feel really uncomfortable because I had to live under duress. I had a good life back home, like I said. You know, I mean, I'm married with 2 lovely kids. My youngest kid at that time was about 1 year and some months, you know, and I had to leave because I was in Abuja, and I had to fly from Lagos. I have to leave Abuja and leave all of them, go to Abuja to take a plane before I came here. And while I was coming here, you know, I didn't even think of finding about the weather or what's happening, because my previous visits were in summer. You know, in 2010 it was in May, 2012 it was in July. So in 2014, when I was coming, it was in February, and I didn't even realize it was, you know, winter. You know, because I didn't have time for all that. What was paramount at that time was my safety. You know, we got to know about the bill being passed into law in January, on January 14, why the law was passed on January 7, and I started reaching out between that January 14 till February 4th that I left Nigeria. So I didn't have much time to prepare. So when we got to JFK, when we were descending, because it was in the afternoon, I saw a lot of whites. You know, I was thinking it was sand. You know, I thought it was sand. I didn't realize that it was snow. You know, we touched down. While we were touching down, I'm like, okay, this is snow. It's not sand. And I didn't even realize it would be cold outside. I just felt okay. It was just flakes. It's just like, you know, not until we came out and I opened the airport door. I mean, you know, the way I ran back inside was very, very hilarious. Even the guys that came to pick me were like, "What? Didn't you realize?" I said, I didn't know, you know. And I didn't have any jacket on. I just had my shirt and some, you know, clothes to cover myself. So that was, you know, one shock that's you know, welcomed me when I got to the U.S. finally in February 2014. So those are some of the experience. You know, this might look funny, but leaving home was it was tense. It was tense. I had to leave, and today, my second child is 5 years old. She barely, you know, recognizes me. So it's really challenging, and I have to leave leave my work. I was the head of programs for an international organization, and we had a lot of fundings to, you know, provide HIV, you know, work, education, treatment to gay men, you know, in Nigeria. I was part of the team that you know, started the first gay-specific clinic in Nigeria in 2011. So I was really doing well there, but when my life became, you know, threatened, I just had to, you know, leave for some time. Yeah.
And so, do you stay in close touch with your family back home?
Yeah, of course. Thank God for technology, you know. Yeah.
And do you expect that they'll be able to join you here at some point?
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I mean, now that I won my asylum, you know, yeah, I'll be able to bring them. Yeah.
Have you been in touch with any of your colleagues regularly that you used to work with, or things like that? Has this situation for public health advocates gotten worse, or is it still the same as when you left, or has there been any progress?
Well, the challenges are still there. I would say, we're still making progress. I would say we are still making progress, though in a very slow pace. But we are making progress. And even coming here, we are not, people like me, I'm not here to just, sit, and I believe I'm here to, get more capacity to be able to effect, the changes that we want to see back home. Because there's a lot of ignorance going on for why people behave the way they behave and believe whatever they believe. So it is now left for us as advocates and, to let people understand, what it really means to, be a gay man. So for me, I still lead some organizations back home. I'm still in touch with, some of the organizations back home. One of them I lead that I founded before I left, and there are other, international, network that I still, coordinate in Nigeria, and I'm still very, very much in touch with them. But because why I had to leave at that time was because I was very, very out there, talking about issues as it affects gay men, and challenging the government for paying lip service to HIV, prevention with gay men, at conferences. I even got a grant to, advocate for the inclusion of lubricants in our HIV strategic work plan. I got that funding from AMFA, American Foundation for its research, and yeah, so I'm still very in touch with them, and at various times I'm still able to provide technical support, in form of directions and all that.
And so, are you doing formal work in the U.S. around these issues as well, or is it mostly focused on what's going on in Nigeria?
Well, of course, I'm trying to do some things here in the U.S. This is not a one-man's work. We need to network, we need to organize, and because of the kind of work I do here right now as a community organizer, I'm beginning to see some some gaps in the way we do maybe advocacy or community organizing in Nigeria, because there are two different things. I was involved in advocacy back home before the law was passed in 2014, when it was, because in 2006 it was, the bill was introduced, but it didn't go through the first reading even. It was killed at that point. But in 2011 it was reintroduced. I was part of the team that went to the National Assembly to present a position paper to the government on why they need to decriminalize organizations and individuals, providing service for the LGBT community, and nobody was even asking for same-sex marriage. So what's the purpose of this bill? Because this will undermine all the work we have done. We had a lot of meetings. We had a lot of strategic meetings. So my experience there as an advocate, and my experience here, and the different trainings I've attended as a community organizer, clearly shows that we still have a lot to learn back home. So I've been able to identify some LGBT advocates here in the U.S. in the course of my trainings, and we are really working on a lot of things. And I've been able to meet some funders too. People that funded my project back home, and to discuss some of the things we can do here and even back home, since we still have those kind of communications with our people. We are able to understand what they need and what their needs are at this point. What the needs were while I was there is quite different from what the needs are right now. I left in 2014 and 2017, so a lot must have happened. So I am still in touch, and I believe there's still much we can do. Yeah, but what I can tell you is that yes, movement is building. Yeah,
that's wonderful. So you talked about the surprise that you got when you landed in New York.
Yeah.
What other things surprised you about being in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, the culture generally, the way you are supposed to mind your business, the way, you are not supposed to, offer your suggestion without being asked, such things, and especially the food, because I'm very used to my kind of food. Even while I was still in Nigeria, when I traveled abroad for different conferences, those few days that I spent abroad, I feel them because I miss my kind of food, and that's what even led me to cooking. Before I came here, I was not cooking. Right now, I can cook, because I could not just keep up with the food. I love the food, no doubt. There are some of the foods that I like so much that I've even happened to fall in love with right now, but I can still not do without my food. So right now I can cook thanks to my family back home. At the point I had to call them, what, you need to tell me how to do this. So I practically learned how to cook on the phone.
So what do you like to cook?
Wow. My favorite is peanut soup. Yeah, that's my favorite. Peanut soup.
And what are the things you said? You have some foods that you do like here. What are the new foods you like?
I like the mac and cheese. I like the mashed potatoes. I like this vegetable. A lot of the vegetables that I like. Because I did a bit of farming. I did internship in a farm.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I learned some of the, all the different kind of vegetables, salads, and all that. I really love the salads,
Pretty good.
When you first came to the United States, where's the first place in New York you went?
Okay, I was in Manhattan. I was in a guest house, provided by Housing Works. Yeah. Because they had, while I was, in Nigeria, and I was like, what's going to happen, when it dawned on me that I need to, exit the stage for some time, I reached out to, Housing Works. Not Housing Works particularly, because in 2012, I got a full scholarship to attend the conference from the National AIDS Housing Coalition. That was the organization that gave me full scholarship. So when in 2014 I was trying to leave, because I had a valid US visa, and the only country that came to mind was the US, because that was the visa that I have. So when I reached out to the National AIDS Housing Coalition, and I guess they reached out to Housing Works, and Housing Works is part of that coalition. So I got a mail from Housing Works telling me, okay, if I want to leave, they can provide me some support, here until I'm able to figure out what I wanted to do. So they gave me that, that space. It was a guest house at one of their facilities in Manhattan, Kyla House. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there for about 6 months.
And where in the city do you live now?
I currently live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at some point you found immigration equality.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you found them?
Yeah. I found immigration equality through Housing Works, actually. When I came, and after like 2 months, it took me time to decide to, apply for asylum, because I was constantly thinking of my family, my children, my wife, and I'm like, I had to understand what the asylum was all about. Even at that, I took the risk, even with the information that I had at that time. If I had the kind of information I had now, maybe I would have thought twice, By that time, I was meant to understand, oh, in 6 months, you'll get what you want, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, let me give it a shot. That was when I was introduced to, immigration equality, to help me with my case. You know, I told them, okay, I'm ready to file for asylum, because within that time I was able to, you know, see the community, and I was able to, you know, be integrated with, you know, the work I was doing. I volunteered for a couple of organizations, and that was how I first, you know this center, through QDEP, Queer Detainee Empowerment Project. You know, I did some volunteering with them. So to me, it was so exciting to be able to continue the work I was doing. And I'm like, and I do it without fear. Like back home, when I had to flee, you know, you are walking, people are pointing at you, people you don't know, you know. And because of the experience that we have with, you know, violations and attacks on gay men and even activists themselves, you know, it's really, really scary, you know. So, yeah.
So now that you have asylum, you're able to apply to have your family join you, right?
Yes. Now that I have asylum, I'm able to, you know, apply for my family to come join.
Do you have a sense of how long that process takes?
Well, I really don't know, but I was told anything between 6 months and 1 year. That's how long it can take, you know. And because I've been you know, separated from my family now for close to 4 years. So it's really, you know, it's something I really want to see happen as soon as possible. But of course, it's out of my hand to decide. You know, I just have to wait for the process. It already took me like almost 3 years, or over 3 years, before I got my asylum. So I don't mind waiting 1 more year for them to join me.
What was it like waiting for your asylum?
Wow, that was another trauma. You know, that wait period had its toll, definitely, on me. You know, although as much as I, you know, try to be strong and, you know, focus on, you know, the little thing I can change at the moment, at every moment, you know, it still, you know, hits me that, you know, I'm not able to provide for my family. This is the family I was supporting and providing for. I have an aged mother who depended on me. I have, you know, younger ones who depended on me. I was able to provide for all of them, you know, while I was working back home. But coming here, having to depend on people, having to live on, people's mercy, having to live at people's mercy and all that. I appreciate it, but, you know, it was a big challenge, you know, to be at that level. So, and yeah. And the fact that as an asylum seeker, you don't have access to any benefits or any support at all until you are granted or until you apply. And even getting representation is another challenge. I'm lucky because maybe I saw an organization that introduced me to immigration equality at a very early time that I came here. A lot of people come here, they are even afraid. They don't want to go out there. They don't even want to ask questions. You know, so and even if you get a lawyer, they charge you. You are not working. How do you want to pay? You are running for your life. Sometimes you don't even come here with money. I came here with $20 when I came to the US. That was all I had on me because I had to settle my family. I had to ensure that they are safe and all that, you know. So a lot of people come here, they can't work. You don't have housing, you don't have any support. You have to, you know, a lot of people are still out there right now that still need support. And that's another thing I'm working on, to see how we can, you know, get housing for people who are coming here to seek asylum first. And, you know, yeah, see, there's a lot, you know. So those are the challenges. So coupled with the time you have to wait.
So when you got your asylum, what did that feel like?
Wow. Well, at that time, at that point, what I felt was kind of relief. You know, it didn't really change my mood that much, but of course, I felt relieved. I felt, yeah, now I have it, you know, and I was very thankful. I was very happy. I was very excited, you know. So, you know, the fact that I waited for so long didn't make it too exciting, you know. I've been expecting, you know, what you expect on a daily basis finally came. Of course, you'll be happy, you'll be excited, But yeah.
What do you like most about living in Brooklyn?
Wow. Brooklyn has its own history. It has its own history, and it's a city known, in many parts of the world. Even while living in Nigeria, some of our rap artists. I mean, the rap artists that we like Biggie, and co. We used to hear Brooklyn in their lyrics, in their songs. So now living in Brooklyn myself, that kind of feeling that wow, this is a place I used to dream of when I was still even very, very young, and now I'm living there. And the fact that it's a mix of both white and black people, unlike Bronx, where you have more of immigrants, and Brooklyn is just a mix. And I think what makes it unique to me is just the history, the history behind Brooklyn. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite parts of Brooklyn, or favorite sites to visit, or favorite historical places?
Well, not really, because I don't go out much, Yeah, I don't go out much. Once in a while, I do go out, and when I go out, there is this Williamsburg. Yeah, there are a lot of nice places in Williamsburg. I go there just to hang out once in a while, and yeah, and for my shopping, I go to the Atlantic Mall, that's opposite Barclays Center. Yeah, and of course, I've worked in different part of Brooklyn. I've worked in Bushwick, East New York, and Greenpoint, yeah, Greenpoint area, yeah. I worked a little bit there, yeah.
So, do you ever miss Nigeria?
Wow, so much. I miss Nigeria, of course. This is where I grew up. This is where I spent all my life. This is where I have family. This is where I have friends. This is where I have, a lot of acquaintances, colleagues. All my life. So definitely, I miss them, and I miss the place. Yeah.
Do you have friends and community here?
Of course, yeah. We even have an LGBT Nigeria, group that I'm part of. And once in a while we try to, get together via parties, events, still talk about what's going on back home, how can we help, Yeah, we still get together, yeah.
What is it that you would like people to know about LGBTQ immigrants and issues?
Globally, US, or back home?
All of the above.
Well, I would say, working with the community back home, one thing I've come to realize, and the fact that, I'm able to, talk to different people. When I say different people, I mean, both straight men and the general population, even religious leaders, about being gay because of my work. Because people challenge me a lot. Even my family, they challenge, why are you working with this community? And all sort of information that I get. I mean, all kind of, resistance that I get, and But I've been able to, based on my work and what I came to understand and learn about being gay, I tell them, I try to educate them, and at the end of the day, I found out that in a way they understand, they accept, but because of maybe religious belief or some cultural beliefs, it's hard for them to take this new information, and that's one of the issues that I see with the society in Nigeria particularly, You know, so I've been advocating for sensitization, sexual, sexuality education. People need to understand. You know, although the older people right now, they are hell bent on what they believe, what people told them. There was a recent research on acceptance and tolerance of gay men in Nigeria, and you find out that younger folks are like, be who you want to be. So we need to intensify, sexuality education to sustain, or to even start a change for people to begin to see gay men differently. And generally, I believe gay men they didn't choose the life they are living. People are born gay, and people have to get over that. People are born gay, and there's a lot of research out there to show that people are born gay. So we have gay people. People need to understand that. That's number one. And they are human. When I meet people, your sexuality, your religion, your color, your creed, whatever, is not what I see first. What I see first is human. I say human first, and I deal with you on that basis. And this is how I believe people should, view people, not by your sexuality, So generally, gay men are human beings. But coming here, as a gay man, coming to the U.S. to maybe seek asylum or refuge, you have a lot to, to face. One, you are black. Two, you are an immigrant. And three, you are gay. This has its own, challenges this has its own, hurdles, or I don't know how to put it. It has its own shortcomings for you as a gay man coming here to, seek asylum. So, but I want people to see first as a human being that I came here because of maybe my work, or maybe my sexuality, or maybe there is war in my country, or maybe there is a epidemic break. People come to the U.S. to seek asylum for different reasons. Seeking asylum as a gay man is just one of the many reasons why people seek asylum here. Seeking asylum as maybe an activist or whatever is one of the reasons that people come here to seek asylum. So these people are coming here, they are living a comfort. They are living all they've worked for, all they've labored for, to come seek a life in a new land that they don't know anybody. So one, you need to view these people as heroes, strong men and women, who are trying to make, impact in life, who are trying to change the world. But because they don't have the same kind of maybe good system that you have here in the U.S., or good, leaders, or or good infrastructure, or a level playing field for people to really do what they have to do. They don't have it. They are coming here to seek asylum. So you view them as, not only just human beings, but people who are here to contribute to the economy, contribute to the, progress of this society. So they are humans, and people who deserve respect and dignity. Yeah.
So you've risked so much in your work for a long time. You work very hard.
Say that again?
So your work in Nigeria was very risky and dangerous for you, and you continue to do it. Can you tell us what drives you and what continues to drive you to do this important work?
Yes. Let me start from, I don't know how to explain this, but I'll try and explain it to you the best, to my best ability. I'm not religious. I'm very, very spiritual. When I say spiritual, I understand, the essence of living. I understand, in my own opinion, I've come to understand, why we are here, on earth. When I came to the realization that, serving God, is, making this world a better place than you met it in any way, form, or shape, that drove me to doing, community work. And while doing community work, I have friends growing up who were gay, you know, and I've been around people who were gay. So it was not new to me when I found out about, you know, HIV and gay men. And I was a public health advocate. You know, when I found the relationship between gay men and HIV, and found out that this is one of the community we must target. Not only gay men, even drug users and sex workers. You know, this group, we call them most at-risk population in the HIV, you know, movement at that time. But now they call, you know, they use different, you know, each year they use different, you know, nomenclature or names to explain, I mean, you know, talk about different groups. You know, key affected population, that's what we call this group, and it made up of drug users, gay men, and sex workers. And to me, why would I be, you know, working on an issue and we know that this is where we need to focus, and we are not focusing in that area because of some beliefs or some, you know, perspective or some form of what we've been told about, you know, just based on ignorance generally, then we are not able to do what we are supposed to do, you know. So this is one of the reasons. So I see, you know, doing what I do as one of my purposes in life, you know, to be able to help people who don't have voice, you know. And to me, the belief that we don't have gay men in Nigeria is just farce. You know, there are research. Like I said, while growing up, I grew up with gay men, and you know, but because we've been brainwashed as a people, you know, that's what, you know, influenced our behavior, our attitude to this group. And for me, I don't care. I believe this is my purpose, like I said, to, you know, to do what I'm doing. And just to let you know, I came into the HIV work because at that time, in 2002, when I was, you know, doing youth service, I was trained by UNICEF and the Nigerian government. It was a voluntary thing. Before I came to that training, I didn't believe HIV existed. In the community where I live, we don't even have access to information. At that time, we didn't even have access to internet. Till I finished my you know, university, I never used a computer. I don't know what it looks like. Even phones, we didn't have phones at that time. You know, so we don't have access to a lot of information. So the belief we had at that time was AIDS was an American invention to discourage sex. And this talk in our heads. And that I took to this training. So based on my, you know, understanding of HIV, peer beliefs and all that, I was able to ask a lot of questions. You know, I asked a lot of questions about what I don't know about HIV, you know. So I got a lot of clarification, and I was convinced at the end of the day that this is an issue. So I got back home. That's how I formed the club we had formed that, you know, I mentioned briefly. You know, I had to change all the objectives to include HIV awareness. That's how I started, you know. And when I saw the effect, I told myself, no going back, you know. And that's how I continue till today, you know. So, yeah, the fact that there was a gap, information gap between young people. At that time, I was barely 17, 18 at this time. I'm talking, no, 2002, I was more than that. But when I finished my secondary school in 1993, my high school, finished in 1993, all this period, I didn't know anything about HIV. Up until 1999, I still believe HIV was American invention to discourage sex. You know, I've not even seen what a condom looked like at that time, in 1999, until year 2002, when I, you know, had the opportunity of attending this training, 6 days intensive training, you know, to know everything about HIV, about community development, program development, you know. That's how I started.
In closing, is there something you want people to know about you?
Wow. I really don't know what I like people to know about me. I just want people to know that maybe I'm just somebody who cares about human rights. I care about equality. I care about equal access to opportunities. And, you know, I want to be a kind of a person that would motivate and inspire people to do great things. Yeah, that's the kind of person I want to be. And like I said, helping people, I made it my religion. You don't help it, not people usually think, you know, giving money to people is the only way you help people. No, you help people in different way. Even greeting, saying hello to somebody sometimes help uplift that person's spirit when that person is down and feel nobody cares. So it's not only money. Like I said, I came to realize that, you know, our purpose in life is to make this world a more better place in any form, way, or shape, and that's my religion.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, the fact that I'm missing my family, you know, it's really, you know, it really gets to me sometimes. You know, it really gets to me sometimes, and I really miss them, and I just sincerely hope and wish that, you know, they join me soon as possible. You know, while I continue to, you know, do my work. And I currently work with African Communities Together. African Communities Together is an organization of African communities fighting for civil rights, job and opportunities for African immigrants, both here in the US and back in Africa. You know, and like I said, we help people with immigration assistance too. Yeah, so that's basically what I can do. I read banking and finance, but I never saw myself working in a bank. You know, so all my life I've worked in NGOs. You know, even without being paid at that time. You know, so yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you too. Thank you.